Hi, I'm Barb Owen-Borger with Coochin County Community Television. Today we're working on a series called Entrepreneurs Up North, where we get to meet different entrepreneurs throughout the county and learn a little bit about what that takes. Today I'm here with Krista Heibel, who is what I would consider a serial entrepreneur.
I would accept that title.
She's also a good personal friend of mine, which I think, really brings a lot to the conversation. And Krista, you and I have known each other for about 10 years.
Yep.
And what attracted me to you was the fact that you were a fearless entrepreneur in my book. You remember when I
absolutely.
You? Yeah.
Yep.
And I watched you do what entrepreneurs do. You work hard, you take risk. Sometimes that risk turns out to be risky, right?
Very true.
But you work your way back up and you continue to fight that fight as an entrepreneur. So really this series and the conversation I want to have with you today is what makes entrepreneurs up north unique. There's unique struggles and things, so we'll get to that. Are you okay with starting with giving me just a little history of where you started? What got that entrepreneur bug into your system?
Yeah, I think I have always been attracted to opportunities to face a challenge in the business world. I like things that are opportunities to change, fix, grow, launch. And so I learned over the years that I'm not a very good employee, that what I'm really good at is kind of driving those moments of change. Okay. And so that is really conducive to being your own boss.
Right, right.
And so that recognition moves me towards looking to do some of my own projects and things.
I think that's really an interesting thing to bring up, and I like the way that you said that you're not a good employee. I think there's a mindset in the world that everybody should have a job and stay in that job for decades and retire from that. But the truth of the matter is, lifestyle isn't a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool, and maybe that's what attracted me to you, is that I got lots of things going on.
Yeah.
But I've seen you take those things to a full level. And I know that now, you've been, I'm losing my train of thought here. Just hang on a second. This will be cut out.
It's okay. It's good to know we can do that.
Absolutely. I did an interview with kids crawling all over a woman. So.
You're like, hold, please.
In my head, I knew exactly how I wanted this to go. I think one of the big questions that people who do live in this area and might be curious as to how entrepreneurship, how they can be successful as an entrepreneur, but also people looking at the lifestyle that we live here and maybe trying to figure out how are they going to make a living, in our market, in what exists here in Coochin County, International Falls, and our other communities. So I kind of go back to, as an entrepreneur, you have to determine how you define success, right?
Yep.
On your own terms.
Yes. Yes.
So, Krista, what is that definition of success for you, or is it still evolving?
Well, I mean, I think it's still evolving, but it's a starkly different answer than it would have been 10 years ago.
Okay.
So I think when I started out, and I started my first business when I was only 30, it was about financial success.
Right.
And the reward of the almighty dollar. I think today, 13 years later, I define it as having balance in life and the opportunity to do what I enjoy doing, and being able to express myself through activities that I guess are work but don't feel like work because I enjoy them.
Right.
And that there's financial security there, but what's more important to me than money is time.
Yes.
As I've gotten older, I've appreciated more that when I can do things that allow me to invest my time in ways that fill me, that to me is successful.
That's critical. Because a lot of times when people have that desire, they think they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to start a business, there is a real culture around looking for the next big thing. But if it's not your thing, You're already behind the 8 ball on
Yeah.
success.
Absolutely.
And I know you well enough to know that what you do and where you found your success is because it is your thing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you've embraced it. You are
Yeah.
passionate about it. You work hard, but you never complain about it.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know many people that I can check off all those 3.
Well, I do love what I do, which is really fantastic.
So let's talk a little bit about. So you mentioned balance. So this is going to come full circle.
Yeah.
Right. But what? Well, now you're an entrepreneur who lives here, but you don't necessarily make your living based on this local market.
Correct.
So there's another. There's a lot of different ways to come at this. So tell CH Consulting, is that?
Yep. CH
Yes.
Consulting Group.
I know
Yep.
there was. I apologize.
No, that's right.
Can you define that in a nutshell? I can't.
I mean, I think I still struggle. We are a group of independent business consultants that work with organizations across the country on business challenges. Like I mentioned, I was attracted to earlier.
Right.
Strategy around growth, turnaround, new product launches, new market entry, acquisition, merger. So we get to come into businesses for either a small, short-term scope of work or a longer scope of work and help solve problems, is I guess the way I look at it. Like I get to be a change manager and a problem solver.
So really, and I also would imagine, a lot of these companies, I mean, every company started by an entrepreneur. So, and not every entrepreneur has every tool in their toolbox that they need.
Right.
So you are one of those tools they don't have.
Exactly.
But they need, it has value to them, and it makes a difference.
Exactly.
So you're able to reach out, and I know you and I have talked about even internationally things are happening.
Yes.
And not only that, but just the breadth of types of businesses that you, it's not just one type of business that you focus on in helping with those changes, because those are all issues that are pretty much universal to businesses,
Yes.
especially growth.
Yes.
Everybody wants to grow.
And I think a challenge of any entrepreneur, business owner, or business leader is knowing where one's strengths and weaknesses are. And so when we're able to identify that accurately, then we can bring in resources that supplement that, right? That fill that gap, that bring in that expertise. And that's really what my team and I do, is we come in and supplement those gaps and bring that expertise in a variety of different areas today.
And you're doing that for companies that couldn't afford necessarily, it wouldn't benefit their bottom line to bring someone like that on full time.
True.
So yet it's a critical piece of that business success.
Yeah.
So you fill that role of being able to plug in expertise, experience, and connections, because I know you're a connector as well, to really help those other businesses thrive.
Yes, that's correct.
And I know you well enough to know that you must just love that outcome.
Do. We came up with a new word just the other day called fractional leadership.
Fractional leadership.
And it's really about us being in, not necessarily even a full-time capacity, but a part-time capacity to help advise from a strategy and even a day-to-day deployment level in something that might just be temporary, or they might have lost a resource and they just need us around for a while. Or it's a temporary project and it's not, as you indicated, a requirement to hire somebody and keep them on full-time. And so I love doing that. We get really into those projects and really become part of those clients' teams.
Right.
And we're really about return on investment for them and making sure the results are why we're there. So.
That is just I imagine, an exciting place to be.
It is.
Working-wise.
Yeah.
So that, to me, I see that as your engine, right?
Yes.
That's where you run and you're hard and you're a digger for people. I know you. I mean, I know how you work, right?
Yes.
But then there is now, again, calling you a serial entrepreneur, and there's again risks to that. But you've taken a really interesting risk and over a slow period of time, a long period of time.
Yes.
I think, and you've made an investment in the International Falls community by developing a yoga studio.
Yes.
That offers classes.
Correct.
And was that 5 years ago?
Yep, about 5 years ago. Yep.
And that's your balance side.
Correct.
Right. Which is practice just like everything else.
Yes.
But you've also added something new to our community that I'm not sure enough people are really aware of.
Yeah.
And that is a school.
Yeah,
For
literally,
training, yeah.
literally. We applied and were accepted. It'll be a year in February 2016 that we are actually a licensed private career school
Okay.
through the Office of Higher Education in the state of Minnesota. It's like a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
It was quite a process. It took about a year
Yeah.
to get that completed, and it required a lot of paperwork and a bonding and a whole lot of stuff. But we are now one of only 9 studios and locations in the whole state that actually can do a Yoga Alliance teacher training
Okay.
certification course here in Minnesota.
So Yoga Alliance is the sort of the overriding entity or organization that brings that integrity and regulations
Yes.
and policy and sets up guidelines
Yes.
that support a certain level,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
So you must have had to go through some work to get that
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Okay.
That also took almost a year.
Okay.
I had to first complete my own 500-hour teacher training course,
Okay.
which I did about 5 years ago. So when
Okay.
I started teaching, I had already completed up through kind of the highest level at that time of Yoga Alliance certification
Okay.
as an individual. And then after having a minimum of 1,000 teaching hours, I could then apply to be a lead teacher, which would then allow me to apply for the studio to become a school.
Okay.
And so we had to go through that process with Yoga Alliance first, and then take that certification to the state of Minnesota and go through their application and review process.
Okay. I'm glad you shared that, and I wanted people to understand it's work.
Yeah,
To
it was a
even
lot of work.
open your doors.
Mhm.
Because then, and you don't get paid for that work,
No.
right? I mean,
No.
that's time, that's
Yeah.
energy, that's travel,
Yeah.
that's, I know what you went through. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, but I know enough to know that I don't ever want to go through that
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that
Yeah.
you've done it because then what it allows you to do. Now, Yoga Alliance has those 200 and a 500 hour, and there's other high level, certifications and trainings and requirements too.
Yeah.
What you're offering in our community is the 200-hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the initial teacher training. It's kind of the minimum level requirement. Yoga Alliance feels that with structure, as you indicated, around time spent on anatomy and posture and teaching ethics, that you can create a curriculum for a teacher trainer. Our goal is to expand that to the teacher training 500
Okay.
hour,
Okay.
which would be adding an additional 300-hour course.
Okay.
And I think by 2017 you'll see us make moves towards hopefully adding that.
It's a good thing you have that team of people to help you grow.
Yeah, well, I needed a few more teachers to help me do the TT 500. So
And you know what's really great though too? Let's talk about competition.
yeah,
Because in essence, I know you've had people say to you, you have a yoga studio where you're the teacher
yeah,
and you earn an income off that.
yeah,
What are you doing? You're training your competition.
yeah.
But that's not how you see it.
No, because I'm not everybody's teacher,
Right.
right? So my students will find me. But the beautiful thing about the practice of yoga, which is 5,000 years old, is there's a lot of different styles.
Right.
And I have my style, I have my teaching style, my preferences. Others are going to come and teach from a different place
Right.
and have different strengths to share and a different style to share. And so I don't think you can really have a yoga studio and just one teacher.
Yeah.
So it's for me about wanting to create a community
Yeah.
and give students options and exposure to different types of classes and teachers.
Well, I think it's great too. To create awareness for people in our town that might be looking for. We're always offering or seeing programs offered to enhance your technical skills,
Yes.
your word, your word processing skills
Yes.
and so forth. But and we have a great small college here that has great opportunities. So this is another place to grow as a person.
Yes.
Maybe it develops into a side hustle, which is what I like to call it, when it's
Yeah.
something we do part-time.
Yeah.
So you're also creating not only opportunity for education, but opportunity for opportunity, I think.
I feel pretty strongly about that. I think when you look at the trend of where research is going with yoga around just physical benefits and mental health benefits and lifestyle, stress management benefits. There's a big need. So we're already seeing, even in our community, referrals coming in from other sources, doctors, mental health practitioners, chiropractors, massage therapists about the benefit of yoga. And we think that that's going to continue to grow. Education is doing a lot of research around the benefits of yoga in the classroom. So being able one day to have this school that we've created and is licensed and is certified, also be able to bring special training into other areas, like educators, mental health providers, behavioral health providers, maybe even RNs and people in the medical field, it's so really, that they can share that, right?
And to have to have that that core understanding that's the same.
Yes.
That it comes off of that same core. There's alignment, there's philosophy, there's ethics, there's all those pieces for that common understanding of yoga. And then for each person to bring their own personality, their own take to it. I don't think we can have this conversation without talking about the fact that having another school in our community brings outsiders, not outsiders, that sounds like kind of aggressive, but newcomers, new people into our community. I know that your teacher training this year had people that traveled from up to 100 miles away to come.
Even further. We had one from Mankato.
That's right.
And Grand Rapids and Thunder Bay. And so again, just the fact that there's really only 9 in the state. I'm not sure about how many in Ontario. Probably Winnipeg is the closest for our Canadian neighbors to attend. So we hope that we'll continue to draw from a distance so that we can do a class a year.
And who would have thought that International Falls, Minnesota would be the heart of where they grow in yoga. That's just a really interesting thing. So again, it brings people to our community. It also, you do other things too. I'm aware of retreats and things that you've done, and I know that also brings people into this community, into the experience of Couchiching County, specifically Rainy Lake, from all over. So I want to drive that home because I think we think of small businesses as so local, and that there's just a local market, and that growth only happens here, and it only has the benefit of you earning something off it. The truth of the matter is small businesses are able to connect us to the broader world, region, but now you've got people who maybe aren't into what we tend to think about in International Falls, Couchiching County, hunting, fishing, and so forth, but they're coming here for another reason to fall in love with and understand the lifestyle that keeps us here.
It's pretty important, right?
It is, and I guess you could call that tourism, but we both know that that also works overall as economic development too in that stuff.
Absolutely.
Any opportunity to bring someone into our community and show them a time that has value to them connects them to us in some way.
And it brings the financial benefits of that visitor, right? Which we know cycles, 7 times through the community. So they spend a couple nights at a hotel, or they stop and get gas, or they shop, or and I mean they create relationships. So you and I both know that lots of those people are repeat visitors, so that's wonderful. So we've talked about what success is for you and how that evolved. We talked a little bit about the fact that the businesses that you have and how they function, right? I think a lot of people want to know, why here? You could be anywhere. But you don't have to be. Right? You get a choice. You've made that choice. And why here? I mean, I've asked myself that question a couple times. When I originally moved back here, it was for my first business. And it was very much about wanting to bring jobs home. And this was home to me. I lived here until I was high school age, and then I moved to the Twin Cities area, but this has always been home. And So after we had sold that operation and I went to work with a client of mine in the Twin Cities area for a couple of years, I just really realized that like I wanted to live here. And I think like everybody probably watching this can relate. You have to kind of be creative about figuring out how to live
Make
here.
that work. Yep.
And so for me, it's about home, family, the lake, the four seasons, the people.
And about how that feels.
Yeah.
Right.
And so then you try and find a way to make it happen.
And we're not talking rainbows and puppies here. I mean,
Right.
There's struggle.
Right.
It's a fight.
Right. Well, all business ownership is a struggle, right? I mean, there's challenges and risks and reward and opportunity.
Right.
They go hand in hand. So.
And something about the way that you have grown through entrepreneurship, taking those risks, I think is so brave because there's not a successful entrepreneur out there that hasn't failed.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. I mean, I call it thinning the herd. You know, and it makes
It's a good
it. I
term.
mean, it makes it really hard on a person.
Yeah.
Because in a small business, you are the brand, and if the brand didn't work or the business didn't work,
Oh yeah.
people oftentimes, you're still that.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it takes a lot for entrepreneurs to go, okay, that didn't work. I'm not proud of how this or that.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm proud of? I'm not going to make that mistake
Yeah.
again.
Well, I think that's where yoga really comes into my business side.
Ah.
So for a long time, I think I felt like these two sides of me were very opposite, and
Yeah.
I felt very conflicted. But what yoga teaches us is that failure is not this bad thing that we have kind of painted it to be
Right.
in Western culture today, where we all need to be the best and we all need to be at the top, and
You get one chance. And
yeah, right. Like failure is part of learning.
Yeah.
And we don't know what we don't know until we learn that. And, I was very young when I started my first company, very ambitious, maybe a little greedy, maybe a little bit naive about what I didn't know.
Sure.
And so when I come out of the end of that process, like I have so much more knowledge
Right.
about myself, about how business works,
Yeah.
about where my areas of strength and weakness are. You can put that all on a top shelf and stop, or you can like put that back into action, right? So back into action we go.
I have that failure conversation with my kids, and I say, look, if everybody failed after
Right.
they tried something the first time, we would all still be crawling around like
Right.
babies.
Right.
We were
Yeah.
fearless, we wanted it, we trusted ourselves that it would happen.
Yeah.
And we had people around us that believed that we were going to stand up and walk.
Yeah.
And if you take that to, I think I just gave myself a pep talk.
I think that's good pep talk.
Everybody falls down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a cliche to say the ones that get up are the ones that keep moving, but I think it's really important to remember as we look at being a community that needs small business
Yeah.
and wants to support small business and understands that all of us are small business at some point. We need to come at that angle when we look at our friends and neighbors who are trying to make it work.
I would hope we could applaud effort,
Yeah.
right? Because
And-
even getting to that point of effort,
Yeah.
of taking the risk, of sticking their neck out for every small business person or everybody up here that has a dream and a
Yeah,
vision of
yeah.
what they want to do. I mean, taking that step towards action should just be applauded.
Yeah.
And letting people learn and grow and figure it out is part of life, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a culture shift, I think. I really, really appreciate you having this conversation with me. And I mean, it honors me just because I have such a, I'm so in awe of the truth of the bravery and the commitment that small business owners have, because they're trying to develop something, but they're also investing in our community.
Yes.
And deeply personally investing
Yes.
and taking a risk that many of us,
Yes.
many of us don't A, understand, and B, don't, we just would never do.
Yeah.
You put everything on the line. It also drives home how important it is for us to take a look again at supporting our local small business
Yes.
owners, understanding what entrepreneurship is. It's
Yes.
not all here. This will be a series. I'll be interviewing, other people, different businesses, different mindsets, different things worked.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you this, and I didn't prepare you for this.
It's okay.
But is there a takeaway for you if if we looked at growing a successful small business up north? Successful being completely up to the entrepreneur.
Sure, by definition, right?
Is there a takeaway or something that you think would have like be a valuable nugget for anybody looking at becoming a small business or enhancing a current small business situation?
I mean, I don't know why this comes to my head because I don't know that it's my overwhelming best piece of advice, but I mean, surely the financial side of the business is important, right?
Yeah.
So understanding things like we can be passionate about a service we have to offer, we can be creative and come up with a product we have to offer, which is where most entrepreneurs start. They have something they want to give by way of product or service, but that doesn't mean we're all ready for the rest of what comes with offering that product and service. It doesn't mean that we're ready to hire and manage and handle people from an HR perspective if we don't have that. Or, but the financial part of it, right? The understanding what it takes financially to get going, how to do that in a way that is reasonable and not excessive in how you have to start it up, and realistic about when it should be profitable, and managing things like not just the profitability but the cash flow of it all. It's something that most of us can benefit from having some outside expertise on, right? Just like we bring outside expertise in other areas. In my consulting side, I bring in expertise to my business in other areas. So
don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, don't be afraid. Yeah, maybe that's a better way to sum that up, actually.
Well, I think really, if I summed up what you said, it's be realistic.
Yeah.
We all think we have $1 million idea, but what might be the financial cost to getting there?
Right.
We all get excited, and we all love our business babies that we're giving birth to.
And some of it might just be starting realistic, like starting at, one of, I think, the challenges for me the first time is everything had to be bigger. Nothing was enough. If I had 50 employees, I wanted 80. When I had 80, I wanted 100. And what was I ready for? What was the business model ready for, right? So letting things happen organically, which again, probably is my yoga seeping into my business now.
Sure.
And letting it be bigger when it's ready, or letting it grow to that next level when it's ready, right? Taking that dream, that vision, not just because we feel like we have to do it right now, but letting it happen when it's ready.
Because sometimes too, I think if you force it, the timing's not right, and it could have been a good thing.
Yeah.
But not managed right and not taken at the right pace. Then you're checking it off the box and looking for the next one. But.
Hence the reason why business owners just. There's so many balls in there. There's so many things you got to keep your eye on in order to keep everything moving forward. And that's why we have a very high rate of small businesses not making it, right? Despite great efforts. So again, do you take that learning?
Good people, great
effort, hard work, tons of sacrifice,
yeah.
Right? I mean, people put a lot of heart and soul into when they start a company. And again, the first one oftentimes doesn't work. Right, the first one, when you really look at us serial entrepreneurs, we're not really usually in our first business, right? We had a first, maybe a second, we learned, and then we took that wisdom into the next thing, and we get smarter as we go.
And
right?
that's that place, I think, where that makes that difference.
Yeah.
You get up, you brush yourself off.
Yep.
Do what you have to do to transition.
Yep.
And get back at it.
Yeah.
Knowing more. Really you've developed tools, you've honed things, just like it's practice.
Yeah, it's practice.
So,
yeah.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure.
Very much. I look forward to continuing to speak with you. I think we'll be checking back over
great.
time. And, anytime that you have anything you want to share with us, just be sure to let us know.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Again, Krista Heibel.